Hello, students. I welcome you to the May month current affairs. We'll be dealing with governance part 2. In the part 1, we have seen apps and portals and some state governments initiative. In this session, we'll discuss in majority agricultural related schemes under the heading of the flagship schemes, and then we'll be discussing some government related scheme with respect to education, that is e-Vidya scheme. So let us start. So the first scheme is scheme for formalization of the micro food processing enterprise. Okay, now this scheme, from the name itself you can see formalization of the micro food processing enterprise. That means the food processing industry at a very small level. So we'll be incentivizing the micro enterprise, very small enterprise, those who can add value at a decentralized level. Okay, so they are saying that they will provide credit link subsidy at 35% of the eligible project cost with a cap of 10 lakh. So that is 10 lakh figure you can remember. You can remember from that's a micro enterprise thing. So 35% means if your project cost is 10 lakh, so some sort of subsidy will be given for 3 point up to 3.5 lakhs. The subsidy can be given, for example, interest subvention, something like that. That's not really very clear. So the implementation period is around 5 years, from 2021 to 2025. So all these decisions were taken in the cabinet in the 20th May, right? And the monitoring will be done by the interministerial empowered committee, and the chairmanship will be under the Minister of the Food Processing and Industries, the chairman of it. Okay. So this is the scheme. Obviously, the food processing industry is a very important component of our agriculture. Those who are watching the current affairs sessions with us, I would like them to see also the trend analysis sessions that I have taken. One session I have taken of the agriculture. There you will realize that agriculture becomes a really important component of your mains preparation. And these topics, for example, food processing industry, horticulture, animal rearing, these are very important. And this is how you can connect your prelims preparation to the mains preparation, using all these schemes as an example, as the steps taken by the government. Okay, so you see how the food processing industry is a very inclusive industry, or how it can be a very sunrise sector. It is a sunrise sector, so it will generate a lot of employment, right? Backward forward linkages will be there, infrastructure creation will be there. So when all these things are there, a lot of good employment is created, right? Some value addition to the agriculture is done. So all these things are to be benefited. So as you can see, all the objectives of this particular scheme. So for example, you can see increase in the finance by the micro food processing units, increase in revenue, encourage waste to wealth activities, right? Focus on the miners, forest producer, tribal district. As we have discussed, that they are focusing on the micro enterprise, so decentralized people, those who are very small entrepreneurs, those who are investing at a very small level. So they will be incentivized to take this particular scheme, isn't it? And it's more important, as we discussed, for a small people, so they are under the unorganized sector, and that is why their formalization is being targeted by the government. Very good scheme if it's being implemented in its spirit. A special focus on the women entrepreneur is there, right? The next scheme is very important scheme going ahead, that is Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana. Now Sampada scheme, you know, Sampada scheme is with respect to the food processing industry umbrella scheme. This will again be a very umbrella scheme in the fisheries sector. Fisheries sector becomes very relevant for this year, because a draft fishery policy is also in the making. Fishery policy is also in the making. Draft has been released. Okay, so from the name itself you can see Pradhan Mantri Matsya. Matsya means fisheries, Sampada means resources, and Yojana, right? So the idea is to bring about the blue revolution through the sustainable and responsible development of the fishery sector in India. They're investing around 20,000 crore rupees in the fishery sector. Okay, and the investment also is on the infrastructure, supply chain, this cold chain infrastructure, um, on various different activities such as cage culture, seaweed farming. Okay, component of the scheme is also very important. That is why I've discussed in relatively more detail. So the scheme has two components. Total investment will be divided into two components. One component is central sector scheme, that will be funded completely by the central government, and one component is centrally sponsored scheme. Okay, in which some sort of contribution from the government will be there, state government will be there. Within the centrally sponsored scheme, there will be two components. One is beneficiary oriented and one is not beneficiary, non-beneficiary oriented. Okay, so beneficiary oriented means some private individual will be involved. Okay, or in the other one, state government will be undertaking the activities. So if we talk about the first one, that is centrally sponsored scheme, so as we've discussed, the cost will be borne by the central government. uh, Whatever direct subsidy oriented individual groups are undertaken by the subsidies by the central government, including the National Fisheries Development Board, central assistance will be to 40% for the general category, 60% for the women and SC/ST and women category. Okay, so don't go too much into detail. Just remember that Matsya Yojana, and it has two components: central sector scheme, centrally sponsored scheme. Within the centrally sponsored scheme, two components are there. So you can see in the centrally sponsored scheme, one is non-beneficiary oriented and one is beneficiary oriented. When we talk about beneficiary oriented, so on those projects, for example, if you belong to general category, 40% is the cost given by the government and 60% you have to invest, and 60% in the case that you belong to SC/ST and OBC category, or women, sorry, not OBC, women category, you will be given 60% of the cost by the government and 40% you have to invest. So this much is relevant for this scheme as far as the prelims is concerned. But for the mains, fishery sector becomes really important. However, the question has been asked on fishery sector, but still it becomes very, very important. For example, you can see all the initiatives, aims and the objective of this scheme. So harnessing the fishery potential in a sustainable, responsive, inclusive and equitable manner, doubling the fishers and fish farming, overall objective of doubling the farmers' income. So these are obviously the overarching objectives of the government, right? Next is, we are done with the food processing industry scheme, and then fisheries scheme. Then is very important PDS. Now PDS, because currently we are witnessing one very important scheme in the May month, one nation, one ration card. And actually I have taught you in the June month, we have discussed one nation, one ration card, but now it has been launched, and the Prime Minister also has tweeted about it, that and the finance minister has also said that all the things will be done by March 31, 2021. So let us see some sort of timeline of the PDS itself. Now PDS has its origin rooted before independence also. A department was created before independence for some sort of distribution, but we see with the formation of the Food Corporation of India and Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices in 1960s, this PDS slowly became distribution of food grains become more universalized. Now you remember that it was the time when we was food insecure nation, right? Ship to mouth was the scenario. We used to get a lot of imported food. Then Green Revolution kicked in, and slowly we started to universalize the PDS. The universalization of the PDS started in 1970s. In 1997, targeted public distribution was set up. Okay, so in that they have, we'll discuss in detail about this TPDS. So in that they have categorized people based upon BPL, APL, about and focus on the poor people were given. Then again a report has come that there is still, apart after this scheme also, there are still a lot of people who are not having the food. Then the scheme of Antyodaya Anna Yojana came, that focusing on the poorest of the poor. So in 2000 that scheme has come. In 2013 a right based approach has been. So till here, till this point, we have only the right based approach, right? And then in 2013 we finally have a right based approach, that is National Food Security Program. So moving from an entitlement based approach, that, for example, entitlement based approach means, okay, we will give you this much rice, this much grains, this much this thing, something like that. So we are entitling you, okay, you are entitled. But right based approach means it is my right as a citizen of India that I want this thing from you. Okay, so that right based approach is more empowering, that makes citizen at a higher pedestal. Okay, so citizen is not dependent on the whims and fancies of the state, because citizen has a right. Okay, then it was then Partha Mukhopadhyay working group on migration was formed. It has discussed many issues with respect to migration, and one of the most important issue that is being faced is that food security is a big issue. For example, people move. For example, you are living in Bihar or you are living in UP and you are working in somewhere in Kerala or Karnataka or Maharashtra or Punjab. So you are having entitlements in this place. Okay, you are having PDS, but when you are living here, you are not getting any food subsidy. Then you are spending a lot from your own pocket. Okay, and then the food security and hunger, malnutrition, all these problems are. Hence, it recommended that there should be interstate and intra-state portability of the food grains should be there. And based upon that, integrated management system of the PDS scheme was launched. Right now, we have currently working on the one state and one ration card scheme that is based upon the idea that of the of interstate portability and intra-state portability. So within the state also, for example, someone from Kerala, from North Kerala to South Kerala, someone comes, he should also get the benefit. Someone from UP to Kerala is coming, he should also get the benefit. Okay, so this is some sort of evolution of the PDS. You can see if any question come in the main exam as well. Okay, in GS about PDS, you can draw this very short diagram as well. Okay, right. So very brief, let us discuss what is the importance of the PDS. So PDS importance can be discussed from the stakeholders perspective also. Okay, for example, what is the importance for let us say government or state? So it helps the state to fulfill its welfare objectives given in the DPSP. Okay, providing help to the very vulnerable section of society. Then from a people perspective, they will get the food security. Okay, food at the very reasonable price or very low price or no price at all. Then from regional society perspective, so regional inequality can be mitigated. For example, there is a food surplus at one place and there is a food deficiency at one place, so PDS comes in handy there. From farmers perspective, so when PDS is there, when the people are getting food, then only the farmers, the government will procure from the farmers, and government procures at the farmer at the MSP rate, isn't it? So it also gives incentive for the government to procure from the farmers. So government also keeps in mind the interest of the farmers. So farmers, if they're facing the problem, if they are not able to sell at the market at a good price, some sort of slump in the price is there, that at least they are assured that their crops will be procured at the MSP, minimum support price. So these are the benefits of the PDS. Okay, then you know about this, but this is very important to understand. Just very quickly we'll highlight. So from the farmer, we are procuring at the MSP level, right? When we procure at the MSP level, then and this is the responsibility of the central FCI. So procurement done, then procurement after this storage being done by FCI, then transportation and allocations being done, then finally at the allocation is done at the central issue price. What is the central issue price? We will see. Central issue price is basically the final price that is being decided. Okay, this much, for example, 1 rupee per kg rice, I'm giving example, 2 rupees per kg wheat, something like that. The final price that is to be paid by the people, okay, while buying the food at these PDS shops, fair price shops. So this is central issue price, right? So then it is the responsibility of the state governments, then they take up the responsibility of distribution. So distribution and setting up of the ration shops, ration card, and finally getting it to the consumer, it is the responsibility of the state government. Hence you can see that how this food security is a very important component of the cooperative federalism, isn't it? Very important component of the cooperative federalism, because here both central and the state governments are working in tandem so as to ensure that the problems which are there in the PDS system are removed, and finally the people should get a qualitative food grain, right? And they will get the food grain at all the times. Now if you talk about the problems with the PDS itself, Now, whenever you have to ask, write about the problems of the PDS, always go very methodologically. Always think from very methodological perspective. Start from the procurement itself. Now you know all the problems that are associated with the MSP. Mention few problems that are there with MSP. Because of MSP, cereal centric agriculture is there, right? Many of time, many people are not covered in MSP. Shanta Kumar committee has said only 13 or 6% of the farmers are taking advantage of the MSP. That is a very striking figure. Then at the level of, that is the problem at the procurement level. Then at the level of the storage level, there is a lot of problem. A rotting of the food grains in FCI go downs. um, um, Many of times the food is not released at time. Then transportation problems are there, right? There the black marketing is happening, the leakage of PDS is happening. Then finally at the distribution level, even if they are using Aadhaar, so some glitch with the technology. So what I'm trying to say that you need to focus on the supply chain of it. And if you remember the supply chain correctly, you can write all the points which are with respect to the challenges and what are the reforms needed as well. That will give a very structured approach to the mains exam as well. Now we discuss one by one. First is the ration card. So actually I've already discussed few of things earlier, but I'll try to discuss them now also. Right. So it's a document issued by the state government, obviously for the purchase of commodity. Remember, by the state government. So state government issues this card. Okay. Sometimes we get confused because in agriculture they ask very easy questions. They ask question, for example, one question on FCI was asked. Very easy question. Okay. What are the charges borne by the FCI? So right. So they purchase for essential commodities, and you know this thing. And why ration card becomes important? Because one nation, one ration card, right? So the scheme was rolled out, as I told you, July 2020. Scheme was rolled out, and the finance minister has said that by March 2021, it will be rolled out for the whole nation, right? Okay. So, right. So let us discuss next one, targeted PDS scheme. So target PDS scheme 1997. There the people are divided, beneficiaries divided into BPL and APL, above poverty line. Then I told you that some committee has said, sample survey organization has kept that many people are still living at a very poor level. They are not still getting a food at a very proper price. Okay. Then they decided, okay, then we need to focus on Antodaya. That means poorest of the poor. Okay. So they are provided 35 kg rice per family per month at 1 rupees per kg. So they are called Antodaya Anna Yojana. Then we have National Food Security Act acting in 2013. So that entirely changed the approach, shift in the approach from a food security, from a welfare approach, welfare entitlement based approach to the right based approach. You need to understand this also. Okay. This is basically you. I hope you have read in polity. For example, you can see that in the RTE also. Why RTE Act finally was brought? It was not that before 2002 when it became fundamental right, or after 2010 when the act was passed, education was not provided by the government. But earlier it was more welfare based approach. Okay, government is of good nature. Okay, that is providing. But now it becomes a right based approach. It is a duty of the government. It is a legislative duty, or in the case of education, it's the constitutional duty, constitutional mandate of the government, of the state, to provide education to the students, isn't it? So that is a right based approach. So a shift in the approach of the food security from welfare based approach to right based approach. It has increased the extent of the people covered under the this Food Security Act also. So they have said around 50% of the people from the urban area, 75% people from the rural areas, they will be covered. Subsidized food gain, and this is the central issue price. Central issue price. Okay. So subsidized food grain of rice 3 rupees per kg, wheat 2 rupees per kg, coarse grain 1 rupee per kg. This is that. So joint responsibility of central and state government, that we have already discussed with the supply chain of the PDS. So just to reiterate, what are the responsibility for the central government? Allocation and transportation of the food grains, providing central assistance to the state and the UT for delivery of food grains. Then state government's responsibility are operational responsibility, identification and of the eligible families, and issue of the ration cards. So these are there. One thing I would like to highlight is before going for this, The difference, what is the food subsidy? I hope I told you earlier also. So what is food subsidy? Food subsidy is equal to what you are procuring at MSP, okay, or plus all the charges that are coming, you have to pay for FCI and all these things, minus the central issue price, because that is ultimately the price the government is getting from the very poor, like 1 rupee per kg, like this. Now the difference between this is the food subsidy, isn't it? Very easy. So whatever the total charges borne by the government in this total operation minus the central issue price. Now you know central issue price are constant in nature, relatively constant, because you also know that's a political issue also. And MSP and FCI keep on increasing, all these charges in between keep on increasing. Because of that, our food subsidy will always increases every year. Recently, Economic Survey has said that we need to revise this CIP as well. Economic Survey has recommended that these prices are really low. The government needs to increase it a bit, so that at least some sort of burden is relieved from the fiscal on the government. But because of COVID, they have to provide free food grains, isn't it? But that's a different thing. That is why we are democracy. That is why we are welfare state. We cannot leave our population dying of a famine like a situation. Next is in this line, next scheme is IMPDS. So that was after the demand or the realization that portability of this benefit should be there, portability. Okay. So that one person who is living in the other state, he goes to the other state, he should also get those benefits. So it's a central sector scheme under the Ministry of Consumer Affairs for implementation of the national wide portability of the food grains distribution under the National Food Security Act. They have created a national level data repository. This all became possible because of the Aadhaar. Now all these reforms are going on, and this parallelly JAM was also going on. JAM was Jan Dhan Aadhaar Mobile. Jan Dhan Aadhaar Mobile was parallelly going on. Okay, so use of the advanced data analytics techniques to bring about a continuous improvement. Those things were also done, right? So this is National Food Security Act under the Department of the Food and Public Distribution under the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. So remember that it is not under the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare. Okay, because many times, as I told you, in agriculture some very basic question, yearbook type questions can be asked also. Next is Anna Vitaran portal. So very important portal also in this line also. It is implemented to display the electronic transaction being made through EPOS devices for distribution of the subsidized food grain to the beneficiary. Okay, so how many transactions have been made? All India picture of the Aadhaar authentication of the beneficiary, besides allocated and distributed quality of the food grains up to district level. So all these information, that how much food grain is there from EPOS device, point of sale, right? Aadhaar, you punch your thumb and you get the grains. Now this Anna Vitan portal will be critical also in the intra-state portability of the benefits. Okay, of this ration card benefits. So this is basically your Anna Vitaran portal. Okay, you can see a lot of states where it is operational. Majority of the state now it is operational. The linkage of the Aadhaar and the use of the POS to take the grains out. And this is finally our scheme. Actually, this one we have already covered, because government has announced this scheme way before, 5 to 6 months before. But now it is more in a concrete nature. So let us very quickly see. It will ensure that all the beneficiaries, especially the migrants, can access the PDS across the nation from any PDS shop of their own choice. So it is obviously possible only and only on the backdrop of the Aadhaar card and the ration card, when their linkage will be there. So they will be eligible by the National Food Security Act 2013. And importantly, just remember, migrant will be allowed to take out only 50% of the family quota, because the family can be living in the other state as well. So because of that, Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution is the main authority that we have already discussed. So now we have discussed all the important measures with respect to the public distribution. So this is what I wanted to highlight. So by 31st March 2021, all the PDS ration card will be made portable. So that's what government has said, right? So we have seen the PDS, history of the PDS, and till this recent One Nation, One Ration Card scheme. And also it becomes very very important for us in the mains examination, this particular topic, the PDS, the history of the PDS can also be asked. They can ask you about the some good case study with respect to PDS. For example, Chhattisgarh model is very famous. Now many models are there, not only Chhattisgarh. 3 to 4 years back, Chhattisgarh model was very famous. Now Tamil Nadu model is also there, Himachal model is also there. So there are many models. So should prepare for GS this particular topic. Next is Pradhan Mantri E-Vidya initiative. Now coming back to the education, let us quickly finish this session as well. So it is to be launched to unify all the efforts. Again, it's an umbrella scheme to unify all the efforts of related to the digital online on-air education. Okay. So under it, basically two major schemes are there. Diksha portal that we have already discussed last time also, and Swayam Prabha. So Swayam Prabha, they have added few more channels based upon the concept of one class, one channel. One class, one channel. Okay. And the Disha is one nation, one digital platform. You can see all these taglines, right? One nation, one card, one nation, one tax, one nation, one constitution. And this is like what we say in international relation, we read net security provider, all these rhetorics. But that's good. That's fine. Okay, then. So, yes. So, unify all the efforts that are being taken in the education field, especially the digital. So 12 DTH channel introduced for each dedicated class 1 to 12, and 100 university they have allowed. Okay, you are allowed to start your online courses without any UGC license. Okay, so they can start their own online courses, these universities, 100 top universities. So this E-Vidya, as we have discussed, is a umbrella scheme under which all these small things will be there. Top 100 universities, E-Diksha, this Swayam Prabha, extension of the Swayam Prabha, and all these things. Let us see Diksha. Diksha becomes very important, as I've discussed in the April month as well, but some points were missing, so that is why I wanted to mention it again. Diksha is a one nation, one digital platform under E-Vidya. So it will become nation's first nation's digital infrastructure for providing quality e-content. We have read the Vidya Dhan scheme, if you remember, Vidya Dan scheme, where they wanted the e-content creators to come on board and create some really good content and get some national recognition as well. So currently it's being used by the teachers and the students both government and the private sector institutions. Okay, and the students can learn several concepts. It is available in many languages. So please remember, it is not only in English, but around 10 languages are being supported: Hindi, English, Gujarati, Bangli, Assamese, Marathi, Odia, and many languages. And that is why they are procuring content from e-content creators. Okay, so that is those who are willing, those who are enthusiastic, they can contribute to it. Okay, and then we have read the Vidyadhan scheme. It is with respect to this only. Okay, right. So this is Vidyadhan 2.2. So just to finalize, just to reiterate, so the minister has said the E-Vidya will launch, which unifies all the efforts of digital education. This will enable multi-mode access to the education that includes Diksha and will now become the nation's digital infrastructure providing quality e-content and all these things. Next is Swayam Prabha. So Swayam Prabha, we have already discussed Swayam Prabha. So it's basically providing the education on the TV channels. So DTH TV channels, they'll be providing utilization of satellite communication technology for transmission of the education e-content. So in the COVID-19, Tata Sky Digital have also decided to air the HRD's, no, not HRD, Ministry of Education's education channels for free. Now there they have added a few more channels, as we have discussed, with respect to class, one channel. Okay. Then last initiative that you're going to do, very important one, Mano Darpan. So Mano means your man, insights. So Mano Darpan is basically an effort so as to help in the psychological counseling of the student and the emotional well-being of the people. So it is more related to the mental health effects that are being faced because of the COVID-19, helping them a vent out box, giving them psychological counseling. Very important, very significant initiative so as to help people. If it is being done, it is being utilized by the people, especially the vulnerable people, because now everyone is curious what will happen. UPSC aspirants are curious whether this exam will happen or not, right? So everyone is worried about this mental health issue, And in this context, this initiative becomes very important component. So it is a part of the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, right? Atmanirbhar Bharat, the new, what we say, the new terminology will be is being used, right? So it will provide the psychological and support counseling to the students, teacher and family for mental health and emotional well-being, right? Psychological support to students and teacher. So let us very quickly revise what we have done. So let us see. First scheme we have seen that what was with respect to the formalization of the micro food processing enterprise. 35% of the support, 35% of the eligible project supported. Remember, micro food processing and the formalization means it is focusing towards the unorganized sector. Then we have seen Matsya Sampada Yojana, very important scheme, has two components: central sector component, centrally sponsored scheme component. Within the centrally sponsored, two components: beneficiary oriented, non-beneficiary oriented. So these are the things. Then we have discussed the short timeline of the PDS scheme, and finally it led to the One Nation One Ration Card scheme. Discussed about ration card issued by the state government, then targeted PDS, Antodaya Anna Yojana, focusing on the poorest of the poor, then National Food Security Act, then finally IMPDS, Integrated Management of the Public Distribution System. Please remember the ministry and the department that is involved. Then Anna Vitarna Portal, that is for intra-state migration, inter-state portability, and providing us a portal on which the data with respect to the EPOS, point of sale, how many people are taking the Aadhaar, a ration card based upon this EPOS. Then One Nation One Aadhaar Card scheme, one ration card scheme. Then finally eVidya scheme, Diksha portal we have seen, and finally the Swayam Prabha and Manodarpan. So with this, we finish our flagship schemes session in the governance of MEMAT. See you in the next class. The remaining one we will see in the next time. I'll discuss Atmanirbhar Abhiyan. Don't worry about it. A lot of components of Atmanirbhar Abhiyan are not very important. Why is it so? Because these are very temporary initiatives that are being taken. Okay. If any significant and big initiatives are there, we will definitely discuss those. Don't worry about it. So see you in the next class, everyone. Bye bye for now. Thank you, everyone.